Okay, so hello to all of the wonderful peeps out there in the wonderful world of YouTube. What is up, dudes? Yeah, so as you guys see, I'm in a different program today. Actually, I have been working in this program for quite a while. The program is called Rebelle. I think I did a couple other illustrations on my channel in Rebelle. Typically I'll do a sketch in another program and then I'll drag it into Rebelle and fiddle around with it and do some watercolor, and then I'll go to another program and then I'll finish it up. This one was completely done in Rebelle, and the reason why is because I was a beta tester recently for this wonderful program. They came out with, or coming out, or have just released the new version of Rebelle, which is Rebelle 3, and it is both on PC and Mac. I am working on a Mac. That's the platform that I was designated to do beta testing on. I did quite a few illustrations in the program, but today, and the duration of this video, as you see, I'll be working in this program. So, as I did a double entendre there, I started out with a simple thumbnail, and then I moved into the full-out concept sketch. So that's what it is right now. It's rough, man. Woo, rough. What's really nice about this program, and it's got a lot of different quirks and cool features in it, are the papers. The papers are so nice. As you see, you can see the textured background there. I have always endeavored to really expand the way I do things, not only in my personal life, but also in my professional life. So I did an entire children's book in this program. You know, I did Taking the Lead in this program, and then I switched back and forth in Photoshop, but a lot of it, I'd say 85 to 90% of Taking the Lead, especially the colors, and a lot of the inks. I did a lot of the inks in Rebelle as well, just because I like the textured papers and I liked the way it looked, and I had to emulate somebody else's work whenever I did Taking the Lead, because the people who hired me, they'd already done one children's book, so I had to kind of give tribute to the first illustrator, you know, the person who did that book, in the way of, you know, the way that I did the illustration work. So that being said, I felt like Rebelle was a really good fit. I like the rendering engine. I like the watercolor engine in it. It's really nice. It's now in version 3. I think I started that program. I think I started the book in version 2. I've actually had this program since version 1, and I've always really liked it. It's got, like I said, a really great rendering engine in it, and the watercolor really emulates traditional watercolor. Does it solve and check all the boxes in my, yeah, see, I'm saving my file here. Does it check all my boxes? In actuality, no, it doesn't. And I'm going to be a little frank here. That's funny, the name of the character that I'm drawing is Frank. It's got a couple things that I don't particularly like. You know, in Photoshop and some of the other programs, you can select all and delete. You can't do that here. I didn't like that. It does have some qualities to it that you kind of have to work around. But overall, I think it's a great program. So I'm doing an illustration of the bear character that I've been working on from my new children's book. And this is one of the images from the new children's book. And he's playing a guitar. As you see, this was, I kind of experimented around with different character designs for Frank, but at the end of the day, this is the one that I felt most comfortable drawing. He's you know, he's got kind of that traditional animated, illustrative, cartoony look. You know, I had really gone back and forth with myself in doing the eyes a different way, but you know, at the end of the day, this is the way I draw. I can't really fake that. So, as you see, I'm finding out what line I like, because I started getting into this and I started revising quite a bit. As you see, I'm still revising. And again, it just, certain things whenever you're doing character design, you might have something that you really like, but then you get in there and it's just not gelling. As you see, I'm messing around with perspective because I just couldn't get the perspective right. I don't know what was wrong with my brain that particular moment. And I didn't really like the way it was turning out. And I go back and forth, I go back and forth, I go back and forth, I go back and forth. And I'm like, dang it, I hate this. So then I'm like, you know what? If he's a bear, he's in the woods, or wherever he's at, his guitar has to have a little bit more oomph to it. So that's whenever I decided to just go ahead and design my own guitar neck. So that being said, whenever you guys sit down and do illustrations like this, or if you do character design, or if you're just doing this for fun, one of the things that you always got to remember, especially when you're not doing this for a client per se, I'm doing this for myself. I'm my own client, so I've really got to sit down and I got to think, well, how would if I was somebody viewing this for the first time, how would I go about critiquing this, and how would I change it? I'm kind of going through, I don't want to say a midlife crisis. Artistically speaking, I kind of am, because I've drawn this way for so long. I've always loved my lines. I love the way that the lines feel with the different line weights and how they define the character and how it looks. And I'm really coming to that edge of the precipice of when I just need to throw all that aside and jump and get rid of the lines, and utilize the lines as just your preliminary force whenever you're your preliminary image, and then going from there. Because even though I love my lines, I want to change. I want to change my artwork. I want to change it to be softer. I want it to change to be less harsh with the dark lines. Even though it kind of defines what my artwork looks like, I really want to change, and it's not going to be easy. I'm going to be experimenting a lot with different programs and different ways of doing things, and different characterizations and stuff. But I really want to change because I've seen a lot of stuff out there that I really like, and so now here I am on my third. You saw that I did an initial sketch, I did a tighter sketch, and now here is the third and final overlay transparency that I'm doing. So I combine my layers on the right hand side, and I push back that sketch back to about 30%, and then I draw over it. I'm not so much tracing where I am correcting as I go. And even though he is a furry animal, I don't want to get in and draw every piece of fur. I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make, especially when they do furry characters. They sit there and they try to draw every piece of fur. And that's the misnomer. You really don't want to do that, because you want to leave some of that up to the viewer's brain to kind of fill in those blanks. If you look at a lot of the illustration out there, especially whenever they do animals or furry characters, they'll draw the fur. They'll do just a simple, if you look at the outline here that I'm doing right now, just real simple stuff. And it makes it look much more realistic and full, and it kind of grounds your character in the real world. So again, I'm going and I'm changing your line weights, and at this point in time, I'm literally just going over it and just, I've got tunes going on right now, and I'm listening to music and just enjoying the whole quote-unquote inking process. I'm not going to talk the whole time today, just because, I don't really have that much time to sit there and talk for 25 minutes, but, I wanted you guys to understand that whenever you draw or whenever you do stuff like this, experimentation can sometimes be your best friend. While I'm doing this, even though I'm enjoying it, listening to music and stuff, in the back of my mind, you kind of go on autopilot, and I never want to go on autopilot, especially whenever I draw. So that's why I said I really want to change things in the way I do art. I'm going to look at some tutorials and stuff on how to basically not only soften your line, but eliminate that line and really get into the forms and paint the forms and really come up with a different look and a way of doing things. like I said, because I'm kind of burned out on the whole idea that my artwork has to follow the same formula. I know that some of the best artists in history have always experimented and changed the way they do things, and really tried to extend the experimentation across the entire gamut of their artwork. Rebelle has a lot of really cool new features. I don't know if this is a new feature or not. I was just playing around with the quick keys and it showed up. So that just goes to show you that sometimes fiddling around with your quick keys really reveals a different aspect of the program that you're currently using. So that particular tool that you just saw was like a line tool, a straight line tool. And I forget which quick key it was. I think it might be either X or Option by itself. And that's of course on a Mac. And it gives you the opportunity to draw a straight line based on an existing vector path, or that particular path. Sketchbook Pro has a tool similar to that, and it's a really great program if you guys ever have the chance to use it. Sketchbook Pro, I've used it for quite a few years, and I really enjoy it. But today, like I said, we're using Rebelle. So I'm experimenting. I'm pushing and pulling inside the program. I'm figuring out the quick keys. I'm going in and seeing what non-watercolor, because I'm not using watercolor right now, I will here in a second, but non-watercolor features that it has to really not have to go to another program. Right there, I'm using, I believe, chalk, and it pulls that texture right out of the paper. For any of you who have done traditional media and you've done watercolor paper, there's different tooth. The tooth of the paper is the roughness or smoothness of it, so it'll determine what the overall image looks like. And this particular paper has a really rough tooth, and it affects the tools whenever you use them. Which, being grounded in a traditional world is really good, because you can look at it and really get a feel for exactly what it would be like in the real world. So again, if you look, I'm still trying to figure out this tool. So there, it draws a straight line. It's really cool. It doesn't do it for you. You have to position you see I messed up right there. You have to position it a certain way, and then I kind of got the hang of it a little bit better. Drawing a straight line. Another program that does this is Manga Studio Pro, or Clip Studio Paint, which is what they're calling it now. So I did it on a separate layer, and I'm going back and I'm erasing so I can get a little bit better depth where the fingers are on the neck of the guitar. So I'm kind of wrapping up the sketch here. You guys are going to see me transfer over to watercolor here in just a second. Again, I still think that my line is way too tight, guys. I mean, I really pride myself on being expressive. It's like I kind of go backwards. I love the expressive line so much, and I wanted this particular drawing, an illustration, to be a little bit tighter. But as I got into it, I felt like I was fighting myself. I don't know if anybody can really relate to that, but you get into an illustration, and a lot of times it'll dictate to you the path that you're going to take instead of you kind of dictating to it. So what you guys just saw was probably about 3 minutes worth of experimentation that I did not videotape. So the background, I started fiddling around with it, and I kept my sketch, and I created a layer underneath my sketch, and I blocked in the color splash background that you see. Now, I tried to play around a little bit with the wet layers to see if I could create a masking layer, and I could not figure it out for the life of me. Like I said, this program, again, has a lot of great features, and I have not, and again, I did the same thing again, and really fiddling around with which brush I wanted to use and what I thought was going to be the best option. So then I would put it down, I'd put the color down, and then I would realize, crap, I didn't start the videotape. So that's why you see, he suddenly appears partially rendered. So what I'm doing right now, if you look, I'm using my watercolor brush, and I believe the Filbert or the flat, one of the two. Rebelle has lots of brushes. Now, Do I think that they can improve on their brush selection? Yes. And the reason why is because I'm used to other programs that have a huge swath and selection of brushes that I can pull from. Now, at the end of the day, as professionals, we always tend to gravitate towards specific brushes to do specific things, and then we find that path that works the best for us, and then we move on. I do that as well, but I also love to experiment and love to find new ways of doing things. So I just wish that Rebelle had more brushes. Maybe they do on their website. They might sell them. I didn't really look. So I might do that after this video. But yeah, so I'm blocking in my watercolor here. You guys will see here in a second. You know, I'm putting stuff in and I'm not really feeling it. You know, I'm getting in here and I'm like, you know, I like it, but it's not that great. I'll stop the video and then I'll start the video. You guys will see me occasionally go up to the pause, because I'll pause the video recording and then I'll walk away. And I do that a lot. I'll pause and then I'll come back to it. And that tends to help me a lot whenever I'm doing stuff like this, because, you know, again, I sat down with the program and it's an experiment, you know? I'm really trying to have fun and enjoy myself, but on the other hand, I'm trying to do something different, you know, with the watercolor software, with Rebelle. So now I'm just putting in different tones, you know, different hues with the browns and the warms, and I'm not really satisfied. I think that he's a little bit too cool, so what I'll do here in a second is I'll go back and I'll start messing around, you know, with the lights and the darks, and put a little bit of yellow in there and maybe some purple and blue. You know, just really, again, having fun and experimenting. And, you know, like I said, Rebelle's a great piece of software, and I'm not complaining about it at all, other than the fact that, you know, that whole delete thing and, you know, with the brush selection and stuff. It's a good program, you know. I'm not being paid by them. They didn't pay me anything to do it. You know, I beta test their software, so they didn't pay me anything. But overall, just a fun piece of software to use. And gosh, who makes it? Escape Motions. Escape Motions are the people who make Rebelle, and you know, nice people, nice bunch of people. Hopefully, their software will get a little bit more footing in the illustration world and be a little bit more popular. Some of the stuff that I've seen online is really nice. Can you do this stuff with other pieces of software? Yeah, you can do it with Photoshop. You can, but what's really nice about Rebelle is whenever you go and zoom in and you can actually see the water, the digital water being absorbed into the paper, and it's really nice. And if you look at the upper right-hand corner of the program itself, that little circle thing that looks like a target, that is the accelerometer that you can manually adjust, or you can attach it. Like if this was on a tablet, you could tilt your tablet and it would, you know, the digital ink would react to the tilt of the tablet itself. So that's really nice. Very similar to what real watercolor would do. If you tilted it vertically, it would, you know, run down the page with some drips and stuff like that. I didn't really get into that because that's not really my style. Again, I would love to do something like that eventually here, and I probably will, just for experimentation purposes. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is there's only a few minutes left here in this process, so I'm just going to go ahead and thank you guys for visiting the channel. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to build up my viewership a little bit so I can do, you know, maybe 1 or 2 videos a week and eventually be monetized again. I was removed from the monetization because I was about, I don't know, 30 hours per month just shy of being able to be monetized. So even though I have decent viewership, you know, just over 2,000 subscribers, I wasn't quite reaching that monetization stage that they saw in their box that is going to be good for them. So, man, it'd be great if I could get 1 or 2 of these a week out to you guys and be able to cover the cost, because this illustration alone took me about, I don't know, probably 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to do, just because I was experimenting and really fiddling around with the drawing and the program itself. And So anyway, thank you guys once again, and I'll try and get videos out to you guys more often. You know, who knows? I mean, it's kind of a catch-20. Either I do the videos and gain more subscribership and not make any money and make that sacrifice, or you know, you delve into it full time and put one video out a day or one video out every other day. Who knows? You know, I'm not doing Patreon or anything like that because I don't think that I just don't have the time right now to be able to invest in this because I've got so much other work in my professional field that, you know, pay the bills. Who knows, one day. But anyway, thank you guys, and we'll definitely see you next time.